Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy Travis back again here at Big Boy Tour Reviews. And today we are taking a look at some people's favorite character in One Piece. And some people say the character that should have been the protagonist, which I don't know if I agree with that or not, mainly because he wasn't, and so I can't see that, but I can see it in another universe. Let's be honest, Ace probably should have been the guy, considering that he was Roger's son. Spoiler alert. But it ended up being Luffy. So, but this is still some people's favorite character in One Piece, even though he died way, way long ago and many arcs ago. But everybody wants an Ace. So obviously this is the S.H.Figuarts Ace. And push them to the side real quick. We can take a look at the box. I am pretty excited about this review. I am happy to have him, even though he does have some issues, mostly aesthetic wise, but I thoroughly enjoy this figure. I was messing around with him before I started shooting this video, messing with his fire effects and stuff. And he comes with a buttload of accessories, which I absolutely love. I feel like S.H.Figuarts, they threw the freaking entire articulation system on this guy. Everything that they have, that as far as they have engineering wise for articulation, I feel like they threw a good 80% at him, because he is very, very well articulated, but at a cost, because aesthetic wise he is a choppy mess. I mean, if we zoom in here, you can see just choppy all over the place. I mean, just segmented everywhere. Every little piece is segmented. Why they decided to do this on a character that has no shirt so you can see everything is beyond me. But they threw the whole freaking, I guess you can't say they threw the book at him, but like they just dumped every articulation point on this dude. Like it's everywhere. So I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest with you, because I truly believe that S.H.Figuarts doesn't care about One Piece, but apparently whoever is the head of the One Piece division absolutely loves Ace, and so they gave him every piece of articulation that should have been in other figures. So I guess they saved the entire articulation budget for Ace, because he has things that he absolutely doesn't need. I'm here for it to a certain extent, because I thoroughly enjoy this figure. Subjectively, I love this figure, but objectively, it is a mess of a figure. It is an absolute mess of a figure. For instance, I don't remember his neck being this thick in the anime, and he has quite the thick neck here. And it looks kind of funny when you pose him, because his face will be super smashed up against his neck. I pull it out a little bit so it can look like he has some kind of chin, but he is like Neckzilla for One Piece right now, for the S.H.Figuarts One Piece line. Like, he has a thick neck, and it looks almost too thick for his body type. I mean, he's a muscular guy, but he's a thin guy. And so, yeah, that neck is very, very thick, but just cuts all over the place. Not to mention, they may have thrown the articulation bucket on him, but they surely did not throw the shading bucket on him, because there is no shading anywhere on this guy, and he could definitely use some shading to distract from all the cuts that they had to do for the articulation. If he was nicely shaded, it would kind of divert your attention from all the cutouts that they had to make for the articulation. But they shaded nothing. There is no shading on this guy whatsoever. So that is unfortunate. And so now the all the cuts that they made for, and when I say cuts, I mean like the lines and stuff that they made for the articulation, not like cuts, like they cut the budget, you know, to not make him articulate, like they cheapened out on. No. I'm saying just the cuts that they made to create this articulation, like for this articulation to exist. I really can't say it correctly. They have the sculpt there. I mean, there's some muscularity there in his back, in his arms, obviously in his chest and his stomach for the most part. But geez, they really cut him up a lot. And they gave him double jointed knees. They actually gave him double jointed knees that actually work really well. I haven't really played around with his feet that much. He is somewhat of a floppy mess, and that's due to what they did inside of the pants here. Not a floppy mess. I'll take that back. He's not a floppy mess, but he's looser than he should be because of what they did unnecessarily here under these shorts. And I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about right here. So we'll get to that in the articulation though. But aesthetic wise, it is very subjective. Personally, I can push past that and be just fine with it. But I can see if people think he looks terrible. I can easily agree with somebody that thinks he looks terrible because of all the choppiness that they have because of the articulation. So, but I like him. He looks good to me. You know, you make your own assessment if you decide to buy this guy. I personally would suggest that you do if you're collecting the One Piece line, because he is one of the best he is probably the best articulated figure that they've made so far in the One Piece line. I mean, considering that I have all of them so far, I think I got a pretty good frame of reference, and yeah, this guy is probably the best articulated out of all of them. So apparently somebody loved them some Ace. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the accessories. Okay, so here are all the accessories that he comes with. He has his cloth jacket here, his cloth Hokage jacket from Naruto. Or just Naruto's jacket, maybe just borrowed Naruto's jacket. And then we have all his fire effects. Now these things are awesome. I'm not going to tell you how to do this, but this piece is probably the most useful piece out of all these pieces. Now I'll put some pictures up, maybe like down here somewhere, of how these actually snap on. Or I just shot some pictures of him having them attached. These are all attached to his ball pegs in his arms. So you have to take off his hands, and all of these just peg in. They all have holes to peg into the pegs in his arms, except this piece. This piece goes around his arm. So it can be used either way, this way or this way, going onto the arm. And it's a very useful piece. It brings symmetry to some of these fire pieces, because just by themselves they don't look right. With this piece, surely, I wish they should have gave you two of these. I wish they would have gave us two of these, because this piece is, or two of this piece, two of this, whatever. We should have got two of those. He has his backpack, his hat. So his hat, this cord or whatever, the string, actually comes separate, and you have to put it into the hairpiece, like so. So that comes out there. That you have to put that in there. It's pretty easy to put in there. It's a pretty soft plastic, so you shouldn't have any trouble fitting it in there. But it fits in there wonderfully. Like, it hides it so well. That was such a good idea. They didn't even have to do that. I don't know why they could have just left it in there. I guess they're giving you an option of not showing the string, which is, I guess, cool too. That is such a good idea. That hat looks so cool. So that is a great idea for that hat. Then we get all his faces. We got a lot of nice faces. I mean, they just laid it out for Ace. They really, really loved them some Ace, clearly. Smiley face, the sleepy face, the yelly face, the gritting face, and then we got a smiley face for Luffy. And then all the fire effects for his hands. We got the fire pistols, the fire nose pickers, and then we got the fire high five. And then we just got some non-fire hands here to hold whatever, I think. I think this is kind of to hold his bag, kind of, sort of, maybe. Or to put something in his hand. Probably can hold the strap on his bag or something with that. And then he has the scarf, his little scarf that goes around his neck too. I'm probably not going to use these pieces. I don't see why I would, but they do give it to us. So hopefully the pictures kind of showed you what how those fire pieces look on him. They look pretty damn good, especially this fire fist one. This is so dope. I love the way that one looks. You got the fist kind of molded in there. That one looks really, really good. Really, really good. That's probably the most detailed fire piece that they have, but the fire effects themselves look beautiful. So I love these. Oh, this one. My God. So these came with little pegs that were holding the holes open, right? So they would stick in here. Most of these I think it was this one and this one, and I think those were the only two that had these little pegs in them. The peg that was in this one was fused to the plastic. I tried heating it up and everything, and it snapped inside the hole. So I heated it up, and I had to get like a little knife to dig it out of there, and it ended up separating. Unfortunately, it ended up separating the plastic for that one. But I don't know if that's happening to anybody else. But that little plastic piece was fused into the plastic of mine. It was just stuck in there. I couldn't get it out, unfortunately. So that fire piece split. Fortunately, if you use this, you're going to use it in conjunction with this piece. And so I'm not going to see that split piece, but it's unfortunate that happened. And I was kind of fucked on that one. But anyway, that's it for accessories. Let's go ahead and get to the articulation. All right, so for articulation, his head is not going to go up that much. I said, as soon as I said they threw all the articulation at him, he can't look up. But that's mostly due to his hair. Now, I always say this. When they add this little piece, S.H.Figuarts is not the only company that does this. It tends to be, I just got a phone call, sorry. It tends to be unnecessary, and it tends to hinder the articulation sometimes. So he might be able to look up if you take that piece off, but they went on ahead and gave him that piece, which he doesn't really need it because he still has plenty of hair back there. So who knows? He can look down a lot though. Side to side is really good. We do get parallel over a little, right at parallel, maybe a little bit more than parallel on that shoulder. You can spin it all the way around. Now, what's crazy about this joint here is that if you saw my Zoro review before, it's almost like they incorporated that same kind of joint, but hid all the gappiness. There's a little gap here, but they hid all the gappiness with other muscle groups. And they also kind of went the same way with that, what they've done on other figures, where it's super hollow here in the armpit, but they found a way to fill that in. So they still have the same kind of design. You can see that the design is kind of the same. You still get that kind of weird, I don't know, shoulder pad here, but it looks better. That's a better joint than any of the other ones that they use. And they didn't have to make a huge cutout of the chest. So that's kind of impressive. Because usually to do these butterfly joints, they kind of cut down into the chest. But they didn't on this guy. and they hid the gappiness with this back muscle group here. I think that's pretty impressive. Like that's what like this engineering, even though it's really choppy, it's really good. Like I think they did a really good job with this. This is impressive. This is impressive because you can look past how they had to chop up the chest and stuff for it. It is impressive how they covered all that stuff up. It's almost like they heard our complaints. Now I will say this, it can get gappy here in the neck if you mess with it too much, but you can fill that in, just push it back in. So that's pretty cool. And he does get plenty of range there. And even if you want to kind of cover that up, you can still get across his chest for the most part and not have that gapping up too much. And you still don't get any of the gappiness in the back that like Zoro had. So that is impressive. I like that there is a little gappiness there, but with all these cutouts, you're going to have some kind of gappiness, some gaps. You're going to have some gaps somewhere. But the way that they compensated for all those other gaps that could be there, that's impressive. This is one of the most impressive figures that I think I've seen S.H.Figuarts made as far as articulation is concerned. Bicep swivel, way deep on that elbow, super deep elbow bend there. You have your typical hinge wrist. Now, as far as the diaphragm joint, going forward is not really happening. Backwards is fine. You do get pretty good side to side. But then when you incorporate this joint, he goes forward nicely and back also very good. But then you incorporate the waist and he is bending all the way over. Like, look how far back he can get. I know I hate when people like Hasbro do these joints, they suck. And half the time they don't work and they're fused and they always bounce back. This is how you do this joint. This is how this joint is. If you're going to do it right. Now, he does get gappy if you go too far back. This is how you're going to do it. If you're going to do it right. Now, he probably technically could have gotten more range out of that if they wanted to, but I think that's a damn good job. And like and then you don't really need it because the waist takes care of that. So you can argue that they could have gone a different route and got the same results. It's a possibility. That could be true. But and not have as much choppiness in his in his torso. That's the way that they went, and I think it's pretty good. I don't think I talked about this white beard logo. This looks really good. This looks really good. Kicking forward is like that. Backwards, he can also go real far back. He can get the absolute full splits, which is awesome. Soft material on the shorts too. Very soft material on the shorts. Now, as far as the legs are concerned, they did something in here that they've done on no other One Piece figure. One, they gave him double jointed knees on shorts. They did not do that for Luffy. And when you bend them, the further you go back, there's a pull down. So there is a drop down joint in within his leg. It's a double ball peg in here that shifts up and down. So when you bend his leg all the way back, it pulls down and gives you more range. Now, it will make the foot longer on the other side, as you can see. It will make that foot longer, or that leg longer, I should say, but then you just push it back up and it'll fix that issue. That is good and bad, because good because you get all that range of motion, but bad because that double ball peg can easily become very loose over time. I can see that it's already not that sturdy. It's good, it's fine, but it is not the greatest like stiffness as of right now, and that will loosen up over time, I guarantee it. but you do get a thigh swivel built into, and you do get a thigh swivel up here. That's kind of ugly, but you do get it. Then as far as the ankles are concerned, you go up that far, down that far, really far. You get a fantastic ankle rocker and a boot swivel and a freaking boot swivel and a toe joint. I'm telling you, they put every piece of and he has a drop down in his hip if you need that. He has a drop down there, slight drop down there too. So they incorporated every single piece of freaking articulation that you can freaking find in what is, I don't know why they put so much effort into this figure, but they put a lot of effort into this figure, and I'm here for it. I'll be honest with you. I'm here for it. I might buy another one. But anyway, that's it for articulation. Let's do some comparisons. All right, so here are the brothers. We got Sabo and Luffy, and they look fantastic together. Love it, love it, love it. Then, just for shits and giggles, we can throw in Zoro, who I just reviewed. And yeah, they are looking good. No Sanji yet. We don't have a romance Dawn Sanji yet. So nothing here to spill in this space. I could have brought. Actually, let me go get her. There, we'll fill it in with Nami. So yeah, here are all so far what we have for the romance Dawn. Well, I do have Shanks. Also, I'm going to review Shanks next, so technically this is not all of them, but I do have Shanks that I'm about to review here soon. So, but here's the boys as of right now, and one girl. So yeah, they look so good. I love it, love it, love it. Despite the flaws in some of these figures, they present so nicely. So nicely. Look at Zoro. Zoro's looking like a goddamn badass. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap things up. All right, so to wrap things up, yeah, let's do this. Subjectively, he's awesome. Objectively, he's still awesome. Does he have his issues? Yeah, if you can't get past all the chopped up joints, then you probably don't own any Regal Tech either. Then if that's the case, because this is just not the figure for you. But if you're collecting the One Piece line from S.H.Figuarts, this is probably, I would argue, the best figure that they've made so far. I mean, if you're stuck on the aesthetics of it, if you're that stuck on the aesthetics, then you probably don't want this guy. If you think all the choppiness for the joints, sure. Are there some unnecessary things that don't need to be there? I would argue that there is. There's some joints there that they could have probably replaced some of those joints with something else and got the same result. So if that's your argument, that's true. I can't argue with that. That's a fact. But as far as what they've created so far in the One Piece line, I don't see anything better. I really don't. I just don't see it. And this is me coming from collecting this like later, after I've already. I don't know if Sabo. I think this came out before Sabo did, and I actually reviewed Sabo before I reviewed Ace because I didn't have them, and so. I don't know. I think I've heard some other reviewers say that like Sabo had better articulation or something like that. I don't remember how well Sabo performed as far as in the articulation aspect, but I don't remember him being that great. But they didn't have to chop him up. So I mean, it's a give or take thing here. Me personally, I freaking love him. I'm okay with the choppiness. Therefore, I feel like he is probably the best all-around figure that they have made for One Piece so far. As far as articulation, You can argue with the aesthetics. That's fine. You can argue with the aesthetics. I won't even say he's the best looking aesthetically. He's definitely not the best looking aesthetically because there's still like a whole bunch of other figures that came before him that aesthetically I think look better. But for an all around package, his aesthetics aren't terrible, and you got great articulation. It is the best articulation so far in the One Piece line from S.H.Figuarts, and the accessories are phenomenal. You get fantastic accessories, like very useful accessories. Like if you want to play with this guy, you can literally play with this guy all day and just swap them out, do all kinds of stuff. I wish that I could put every hand that he has on him. Like, but you can't, obviously. But there's so many other poses that I want to do for him. And as far as how my display is set up, I just can't put them in poses like that. But I wish, especially this hand right here, like I want to use this hand so bad, but I'm not going to be able to use it. So he just had all around package. I think he's the best bang for your buck in the One Piece line. So I think he's fantastic. Anyway, that is it for the review. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.